It's Wednesday, June 30th, and this is now on HNN.
This decision will be criticized far and wide.
Breaking news, Bill Cosby has been freed from prison after Pennsylvania's highest court overturned his sexual assault conviction.
Bill Cosby will be forever tarnished.
It's a stunning reversal of fortune for the comedian once known as America's dad.
We only have so many beaches.
Amid a tourism spike, the Valley Isle is making an appeal for fewer flights.
The building was not conceived or built to do the kind of shows that we do.
As actors prepare for a new production, there's big changes in the works at Diamond Head Theater. We'll explain coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for watching This Is Now. I'm Jonathan alongside Mark Carpenter here, who's in for Ashley. She'll be back tomorrow. Wanted to alert you to something. Prosecutor Steve Alm will be holding a press conference at 1 o'clock to address a recent officer-involved shooting. We're going to bring that to you live on your HNN digital platforms. Meanwhile, let's get to some other breaking news that's happening nationally.
Yeah, national scene right here. Bill Cosby has been released from federal prison after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his sexual assault conviction. Dan Sheneman explains how this process unfolded.
Bill Cosby back at his Philadelphia area home shortly after Pennsylvania's high court threw out his sexual assault conviction.
Essentially what the Supreme Court is saying is that Bill Cosby should never have been arrested because there was a non-prosecutorial agreement in place that prohibited our office from prosecuting him in 2015.
That non-prosecutorial agreement stemmed from a damaging deposition, which was part of a lawsuit by former sports administrator Andrea Constant. Because of that deposition, Cosby was arrested, charged, and convicted of drugging and sexually assaulting Constant.
What the court is not saying is that Andrea Constant was not credible. The jury still found that he sexually assaulted Andrea Constant.
The 83-year-old comedian since served 2 years of a 3 to 10-year sentence.
We always believed fully that he never should have been prosecuted because there was an agreement made. He relied on that agreement, and you can't have a system where prosecutors don't hold up to their words.
The Montgomery County District Attorney released a statement saying in part he was found guilty by a jury and now goes free on a procedural issue that is irrelevant to the facts of the crime. Andrea Constant and her attorney said, quote, "We don't want to make any comments." Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
More breaking news. Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has died. Through a career that spanned decades, he worked under 4 presidents. Rumsfeld served as Defense Secretary twice, notably in George W. Bush's administration, overseeing the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq following the September 11th attacks. He was 88 years old.
As the state braces for even more tourists this summer, Maui Mayor Mike Victorino is urging the airlines to voluntarily cut back on flights. He says he's worried about resources being exhausted as travelers flock to the state.
For more than a year, COVID-19 stopped everybody from going almost everywhere. And so now Maui's become, and the state of Hawaii, a focus point for that pent-up demand. We like to welcome them. But we also realize that we only have so many beaches. Our firefighters that are here today, Chief, you will say, that is taxed their ocean safety people, their rescue, Air One. All of that is being taxed because, again, many of these visitors are not using good common sense and going into areas where they're not supposed to. And then our professionals are sent in to rescue them. It's important to understand it's not my problem. It's not just our county's problem. It's a state problem.
Governor Ige says he understands Victorino's frustration, but says his hands are tied.
You know, unfortunately, we can't do it. I mean, I've talked with the FCC and FAA, not the FCC, about what a state can do, and we cannot restrict aircraft flying into the state of Hawaii. You know, what we're seeing is kind of a perfect storm. You know, all the domestic airlines are unable to fly people where they normally do, and most of them have international routes that they can't fly. So everyone has excess airplane and excess aircraft. And because of the job that we've done here in Hawaii, many people on the mainland who may have traveled internationally before are deciding that they want to visit the islands. So I run an airline. I have an idle airplane. People want to fly to Hawaii. I'm flying it. So we're at 120% of pre-pandemic seats coming to Hawaii from North America. But I do believe that that's a short term, that things will normalize. People will stop. You know, they may come and they'll stop, you know, wanting to come to Hawaii because they'll have other options.
Over-tourism is part of the reason protests are being planned at all Hawaii airports on 4th of July. Organizers are planning a drive-through demonstration to highlight government failures to address critical issues in social, racial, and economic injustices as well. The plan is to protest from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday. We'll keep you posted as to exactly what's happening.
United Airlines orders 270 jets, its biggest aircraft purchase ever. Pete Muntean has the details.
Because it wasn't all that long ago that airlines were talking about how small they could possibly get because of the pandemic. Now they're talking about getting bigger because so many people are coming back to air travel. United Airlines just announced it's ordering 270 new aircraft, the largest order in United history, the largest order by a single airline in the last decade. That brings United's total order book to about 500 airplanes, and the hope is to take back some of the routes it is outsourced to smaller regional airlines. United says all of this will add about 25,000 jobs. Just to put that into context for you, it wasn't all that long ago that the airline was talking about furloughing near that many people because of the pandemic. What is also so interesting here is the airplane behind me. That's the backbone of this order. That is a Boeing 737 MAX. This is the largest single order for the MAX, 200 airplanes in all. And this is so notable because the airplane was grounded worldwide by 2 fatal crashes abroad, nearly 350 people killed. The other airplane in this order is the Airbus A321neo. And what's also so interesting here is that all of United's fleet will soon look like these airplanes, retrofitted with in-flight, seat-back entertainment. It'll still take a few years to see that, though. Not much help for the millions coming back to air travel this holiday weekend. The TSA screened nearly 2.2 million people at airports across the country on Sunday. A new record of the pandemic. It's likely we could see that number go even higher as we get closer to July 4th.
The Federal Aviation Administration addressing a rise in unruly passenger behavior. The agency tweeted a photo with the caption, "You could have spent $35,000 on a brand new truck, but instead you are paying a fine because you punched a flight attendant." The FAA says it received more than 3,200 reports of passenger incidents, the majority of which are over mask violations since the beginning of the year. And on the topic of air travel, Washington lawmakers are exploring measures that would address airline credits. Credits increased with canceled flights during the pandemic, and Democrat Senators Ed Markey and Richard Blumenthal want the Department of Transportation to explore if it's unfair to place expiration dates on credits. Their issue is that when passengers cancel flights, airlines can either issue a refund or credits, but tend to choose credits because those eventually expire. The senators want the DOT to investigate if it falls under unfair or deceptive practices.
As more live events resume as we come out of the pandemic, Diamond Head Theater has a new show and some big changes in the works. Here's a preview.
How does it feel to be in theater again? Oh my gosh. I'm about to cry thinking about it. Love's what we'll remember. Kiss today goodbye.
This being back in the theater is like reclaiming our identities and who we are and what we love.
The cast rehearses nearly every day to prepare for the theater's largest production since pre-pandemic times, for a show that sits close to home for director and choreographer Greg Zane.
I mean, it was the show that made me want to become a dancer.
The last time Diamond Head Theater did a production of The Chorus Line, it was 1985, and Zane played the role of Paul. Since then, Zane has had a long career performing on Broadway, choreographing national tours, and directing musicals in the theater he grew up in.
What I'm trying to do with this production for this cast is to have them honor the people who came before them who are in these roles, and also to learn about themselves as actors and dancers and singers, and also as people, you know, that we all share the human experience.
In addition to the excitement surrounding the show's opening, in about a year, Diamond Head Theater has even bigger plans to open a brand new theater.
It's not that they aren't functioning as well anymore. The building was not conceived or built to do the kind of shows that we do.
At 106 years old and being the third oldest community theater in the nation, Diamond Head Theater no longer suits the modern production needs.
It's going to be tiered seating, so it's going to, yes, you have a better angle. It's going to be approximately the same size. It's going to have larger wings. It's going to have much better dressing rooms. We are adding an education area so we can have classes and rehearsals going on at the same time. So just about everything is going to be an improvement. When it's actually completed, I think we will find even more uses and more innovative ways to use the theater than we even know of yet.
Until then, the show will go on, and after 10 years away from the stage, you can just hear that anticipation and excitement from cast member Emily North.
You know, I know there's magic in the theater, but you feel it and you go there and everything's okay and everyone's a family, and it's nice to have that again. It's like an escape from everything we're going through.
Exciting stuff happening there for sure. Wanted to let you know that the theater is working in tiers, so there's no definite date on when the deconstruction of the old building will happen. Also, for ticket information on that new show, A Chorus Line, just head to the Diamond Head Theater's website. We're going to be posting those details on our website as well in just a few minutes. Mark, we just got those numbers in from the state, right?
Yeah, the Department of Health with its daily COVID update, 56 new cases reported today with 1 new death. We have a full county-by-county breakdown on our website, HawaiiNewsNow.com.
Now let's get a check of your weather. Here's Guy Hoggy.
How's it on this Wednesday? We've got textbook trade wind weather on the charts for the next several days. Trade winds will begin getting stronger today, firming up tomorrow and through the weekend. And that means we'll likely see more windward and mucus showers in the early morning and overnight hours. Even though the atmosphere is relatively stable, you can see how dry it is out there this morning. Trade winds will be picking up speed, 15 to 20 today from Maui all the way to Kauai. Even stronger tomorrow, of course, lighter Kona winds for Kona. So it's going to be a gorgeous day today. Get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, but include some sunblock because the UV index will be extreme today at 12. And luckily, those trade winds will help keep humidity levels from going through the roof. Now, the surf will be rising, peaking today for south and west shores on a nice swell. It's not a big swell, but it's definitely worthwhile paddling out. Remember that UV index. And then Friday, we got a boost up in the country, and the east shores will be picking up because of the increasing trade winds. Again, trade winds today, 15 to 20, stronger from tomorrow into the 4th of the July weekend. So all in all, we're looking at a long stretch of really comfortable weather. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
The president of the Merry Monarch Festival says stringent COVID protocols made this her most challenging year ever. Auntie Luana Kavelu spoke with Mahealani Richardson about this year's festival preparation.
On the Merry Monarch stage, athleticism and grace under pressure as dancers adhere to Hawaiian protocols. After last year's cancellation due to the pandemic, there are now strict COVID protocols, including 2 rounds of testing and 5 days isolation.
Everybody that is affiliated with the Merry Monarch Festival has to go into bubbles. That in itself shows me the dedication they have to do this.
350 people are part of this year's event, including the halau, judges, festival staff, and television production crew.
I feel what I've done for the 40 some odd years is easy compared to what we had to do this year.
81-year-old Luana Cavelu is known for meticulously assigning tickets by hand. But this year's festival will have no audience and a stage that's rotated from the usual spot at the Edith Kanakaole Stadium in Hilo for optimal filming conditions.
So it will be entirely different.
Since filming is already done, the winners will be announced during the broadcast.
How hard is it to keep the winners a secret for 1 week?
I think that's going to be the most difficult part of this year's festival, but everybody else will be surprised. I think it's exciting.
Cavelu thinks of her late mother, Auntie Dottie Thompson, who, with Uncle George Naope, is credited with reinvigorating the festival.
She taught me everything I know. I wish I had listened better, so times like this wouldn't be so difficult.
Over the years, the Merry Monarch Festival has grown into a world-class hula competition. And despite the constant pandemic pivots, Cavelu says some things remain steadfast.
What started off as a humble hula event has become worldwide, but I still want to keep it a humble hula event in a small town of Hilo. It is an uplifting thing, I think, for our culture, for our people, and for hula.
Thank you, Mahea, for that report. Loving her reporting this week.
Absolutely.
Don't forget, the coverage starts tomorrow on K5 and your H&N digital platforms. So, guys, I wanted to tell you about this, your 4th of July barbecue.
Busy weekend ahead with Merry Monarch and 4th of July. Going to be a lot to look forward to.
And, Mark, guess what? That 4th of July barbecue is going to cost you a little more. The American Farm Bureau says a cookout of 10 people will run about $59.50, which I think seems pretty affordable for 10 people. This is based on the cost of popular meats, sides, desserts. But there's a big silver lining here. The Bureau says, you know those pork processing and meat processing problems we saw early in the pandemic? Well, those have been resolved for this year. All right, let's move along here, Mark. Every week you do this award-winning series called Hawaii Strong, and I wanted to talk to our viewers a little bit about it and present your most latest story.
Yeah. Each week we have the opportunity to catch up with local businesses and share their pandemic story, how they channel their creativity. This past week we caught up with Maui's Surfing Goat Dairy. It's one of the state's unique visitor destinations, and the pandemic nearly shut down the farm, but its owners channeled their creativity in a number of ways. On the slopes of Haleakala, 42 acres of goat goodness, goat cheese, goat milk, goat truffles, or just goats. They have it all. Thomas and Ava Kafsak have spent the last 20 years supplying the state's restaurants and hotels.
Our problem was not to sell our products. Our problem was to produce enough. The demand is so high. And before the pandemic, we supported and delivered cheese to a lot of restaurants here on Maui, nearly all the major hotels.
The Kafsaks built their business serving award-winning products, and then in 2020, a COVID collision course.
When the lockdown started, nobody could come. Then the restaurants were closing, so we lost that revenue. Then the hotels were closing, so we lost that revenue too. So it was a triple whammy we encountered.
And then they explored every measure to hold on, letting go of more than half of their 22 employees, slashing hours. PPP funds helped a bit, but when that stopped, they dug into their retirement savings. They also cut their herd in half, selling at least 100 goats, and those that remained still produced, but with no buyers, the Kafsaks donated the goods.
We hated to throw the milk away, what most of the dairies on the mainland did at that time. And we thought, okay, we can still make that cheese and make people happy that they get in these times.
Donations went to nearby churches, senior citizen programs, and employee food drives at Maui hotels. And along with charity came some creativity, as Thomas concocted the Adopt a Goat campaign.
Where people can adopt one of these 98 goats for a fee of $1,000 and get every half year 4 cheeses or 4 tour tickets. My wife told me when we discussed this, nobody will do this here.
And GoatFundMe turned into a success. In 6 weeks, 80 goats were adopted, raising $80,000, a sign of overwhelming community support.
We got some donations where people have written us a letter and said, okay, I don't have the money to adopt a goat, but I send you $50 and I hope you make it. And we were nearly in tears when we got these letters and these little checks and so on. That's so great.
And as the state reopens and visitors return, the calf sacks and their herd are heading to a full recovery.
Super cool story, Mark. I watched quite a few of these, and I know a lot of them sort of have a musical theme recently, right?
Yeah, and, you know, when we launched this series, one of the motivating factors behind it was to put a face behind the struggle of the pandemic. It's one thing to talk about the businesses shutting down and the numbers and, you know, the financial hit and just give those statistics, but when you actually catch up with the people affected and seeing the effects, it really is striking. And, you know, as we talk about so much, we see the impact in the performing arts, the arts and culture industry, the entertainment industry. And so, you know, catching up with Capenna, a lot of people think, okay, well, they're a very successful band, but when they're shut down, all their shows were cleared out. The entire calendar, their summer lineup, that all went away. And so talking with Kelly Boy DeLima and hearing Capenna's struggle, it really was something else. But, you know, they keep going. So does Hawaii Symphony Orchestra. They keep going as well. They went 9 months without performing, and so their first show was back at the Waikiki Shell about a month and a half ago, and so it really was something to catch up with them again. And then also, we can't forget about the small businesses.
Yeah, right? And I know you talked to Kimchi too, right?
Yeah, Kimchi too, a longtime favorite in the Kamiki, Waialae area. This was a story of absolute hope. I mean, they were decimated by the pandemic, but the owner, Jimmy, right there, he set something up where he was giving free meals every day to a family of 4. He doesn't want to hear about the store. He just wants to know, like, okay, who needs help here? He wants to help as many people as possible while also trying to keep his business running. So
Very
it's been
cool.
a joy to catch up with these
I love
companies.
catching it. Yeah, I love catching it. You can watch them all on your H&N digital platforms. Meanwhile, there's a new immersive art experience that's opened up in town. Here's Casey Lund with more on that.
Welcome to Beyond Van Gogh, the immersive experience. This is what you see when you first enter the exhibit at the Convention Center. You'll get to learn a little bit more about the artist, you'll get to see some writings from him, from his family, and of course this is visually stunning in and of itself, but it's truly nothing compared to what you'll see when you enter the next room.
That's the thing with Vincent van Gogh. He's an easy fit for this kind of immersive experience because when you see an original, the colors are so vivid, they're sort of jumping at you.
Art historian and Van Gogh expert Fanny Kirta has brought this living work of art to communities all over the country and around the world. What she enjoys most about sharing this with others is the chance to bring this complicated man's important work to those who might not normally have the desire or opportunity to see one of his original paintings.
There's nothing quite like an original. Of course, you're going to see the aura of the object itself. And to me, the museum experience and this one, they complement each other. So when you get the original, you get the object itself. When you get here to the immersive experience, you get to go beyond the frame and actually step in it and be inside of it and experience it in a whole new way. And for people who might be intimidated by museum, this is a great entry world into the art world.
Kirta says right now might be the perfect time to immerse yourself in Van Gogh's work and life.
I think Van Gogh is a very likable figure. We can all relate to what he's been through. He's been struggling so much, and after the year we've been having, I believe he's the artist we need right now.
That was Casey Lund reporting, and that's going to do it for This Is Now.